pediatrics, specifically where I am, we talk about a kid's main occupation is play. That's how they learn. That's how they develop. That's how they grow. Everything is done through that lens of play. And so that's what our interventions all focus on, is through that lens of play.
God, it sounds like fun.
Yeah. So I get to go play every day.
I quit.
It's pretty great. So, you like talking about those gross motor skills, they need to be able to have those skills to crawl and then walk and then climb on the playground so they can participate with their friends. And we do things with social interactions and emotional regulation and fine motor skills, gross motor skills. I mean, everything that can relate back to what a kid needs to do to be able to grow and learn are things that we can work on. Which maybe is a good segue into Parker, because sleep is another one that people often don't know that we can work on, with it, certain things within our scope, which I know has been a little bit of a struggle with her specifically.
Yeah, that's one of the main things. I mean, she sleeps okay. It's just she sleeps with us.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
And she's a big mama's girl. And
she is.
As we found out, needs a lot of sensory input.
Yeah, she is. I was saying to Zach earlier, I said, she's a big prope kid. So
yeah, you can feel free to discuss like whatever you want with her case too. Proprioceptive
input.
Thank you.
I know.
Yes,
I did the same thing.
Me big dumb. Me no understand.
Don't know what prope is.
Subluxation.
Totally lux. New term.
How to shorten all of the technical terms.
Oh man, you're so lux today.
Yeah. So proprioceptive input is that, proprioception is that sense of where our body is in space, and then just knowing where I am in relation to other things, other people, things like that. And when we talk about it from an input standpoint, we know that deep pressure input typically, depends on the person or kid, can be calming, whereas vestibular input, which is think about like your rotational movements and then like linear swinging.
Is that Pacinian corpuscles?
Pacinian corpuscles would be probe.
Vibration. Probe.
I don't know.
I know. We talked about
vestibular is more with those like that inner ear connection. So that is typically more alerting for our sensory system or our arousal level. So you think about kids coming off a swing that they just spun and they're like, let's do more,
Can you imagine if it was the opposite? How weird that would look.
Just calmed you down.
And it is for some people. Yeah. It totally depends on their sensory systems. Yeah, it's kind of wild.
Like when you draw a line in the sand in front of a chicken. You ever do that? You see the video? You draw a perfect line in front of a chicken's beak. It will fully like mesmerize it, and it just stare at it.
That's
for almost as long as possible.
Really?
Google it.
Let's test it out.
It's crazy, yeah.
That is wild. Yeah, so with Parker, we found out that she was what I would probably call hyposensitive on that kind of touch movement processing, in that she wasn't getting enough deep proprioceptive input. And that is a really calming tool for her that we found out.
So does that translate? She needed more to reach that threshold?
Yes, exactly. She needs more to meet that threshold of kind of optimal functioning.
And so what are some of the things that you would prescribe to Zach to fulfill that need?
Yeah. Well, so at her age, since she's younger, it's for my older kids, it's a lot of, big, huge body movements, jumps, crashes, things like that. For her age, it's a lot of those like big bear hug squishes, kind of getting that like big massage kind of pressure all up and down. Yeah, there you go.
But like the first time she saw you, she was just like,
we were doing pillow squishes. Yeah. And she was laying down. I was just doing them on her legs.
I think you told me about that, didn't you?
And she just melted. Yeah. You'll see kids just go,
this is all I wanted.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So we've been working a lot on getting more of that. Yep. And that's something that can also help with sleep, because if our system is just a little more revved, or we're gearing up in other ways, or even that emotional piece is, we don't want to sleep, or we want to sleep with mom or dad or whatever it is, that can help just calm down our sensory system, which then can just help prepare us for sleep a little better too.
Yeah, so we have
Can I ask the opposite?
Yeah.
Like what's the opposite of that for kiddos?
Oh, like the
Hyper?
hypersensitivity?
Don't touch me.
Right. So
Yeah.
how do you what are some strategies? Stop it.
What are you?
Yeah.
What?
So like
for you?
instead of the pillow
Asking for a
squishes,
friend.
Yeah.
you like, hey, here's your space to like be on your own, or like what does a kiddo need?
So typically when we get kind of a sensory profile for a kid, it might be kind of a mix of things, or it might be, hey, I'm hypersensitive, so like too much input in certain areas at certain times, and then other times I might not be registering anything, so I need more to get up to that threshold. So on that opposite end, if we have like hypersensitivity to touch, that we don't want the deep pressure, we don't want the typically when I see the hypersensitivity to touch, it's more that light tickly touch, which is another alerting thing for our sensory system. So, you're tickling a kid and they're going nuts. They're laughing, they're rolling around on the floor because it's kind of revving our engine, so to speak. Whereas if you start slowing down, typically I see kids who are hypersensitive to touch do a little bit better with that slower, deeper touch. So we might start with that first. And it might not be a hand. Maybe that's too much. Maybe it is with a pillow. Or we do, one of my favorite things is blanket burritos. I actually tried this with Parker today.
Oh, really?
I think Poppy ended up liking it more, but so you lay a blanket out and have them lay on one side and then roll up like a burrito. And that might be a little bit less alerting for our system because it's consistent pressure all throughout our body. It's a little more of that compression, deep pressure. It's not somebody's hands, which might be unpredictable in terms of what that touch is going to be like.
Yep.
And if you have a fear of burritos, then you can hit two birds with one stone.
There's no
There you
such
go.
thing.
You're right. You're right. That's
No
just
one
silliness.
fears a burrito.
I think too, if kids just don't have the right type of input for their specific body, what you might see is just a kid that you could describe it as just like disorganized in their body and in their movements. So they could just be a little bit all over the place. They could be over here 1 minute and over there, and then we're on the floor, and then we're up, and then we're down, that, or we're maybe just not, or maybe we're on the other end where we're just kind of timid and, we're not really sure what we're looking all around, we're trying to check the space out, the people out, what's going to happen, because our body is just not organized to that optimal level of functioning from a sensory perspective. And sometimes it can just be a kid being a little inflexible and going, no, I do not want to wear this type of pants. And it could be because it's sensory, or it could be, I just don't want to wear this type of pants, And so it's that teasing out that we kind of have to do. And then the other question that we're constantly asking is, well, is it functional? Can they wear another type of pants? Would it be a little more functional if they wore more than one type of pants? Absolutely. But can we wear 3 types of pants and we just won't wear the 4th?
Yeah. Sustainability.
Versus we only wear this one kind, one brand.
Just to be able to go and meet an occupational therapist and be like, okay, guess what? Actually, you're pretty good. That's a sense of mind for a parent going forward. We're like, okay, it really isn't these things. We can work with these because it's on the normal scale or whatever it is.
Right.
Should just
It's
set a
eliminator.
baseline.
Well,
baseline.
And that would be more on that like population health level,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
So that'd be more on that like public health kind of way, which I would love to see OT get into because we are right now
for sure.
definitely more deficit based, like come to see us if you have an issue, right? Quite honest, I love the evals where I can tell parents, nope, you're good, go home. Your kid is developing typically.
And give them some, like, you're really great at giving tools.
Yeah.
Like, you give really good handouts and, like, you coach parents of
Thank you.
hey, you're doing really good.
Yeah.
Like, but here are some additional things that you can do.
Absolutely.
And then if you feel like it's plateauing or whatever, like, come back and see us.
Yeah,
Whatever.
definitely. Yeah, we kind of can do a graded approach too. So, do we need to come in every week or do we need to just check in once a month or, but yeah, I would love to see OT get into even like that primary care type level. So we could be consulting with pediatricians and families and just saying, nope, you're good. Keep
I
doing
vote
what you're
yes.
doing, or
I mean, it would
It's easier.
offload so much for,
Future.
Yeah.
yeah.
well, and then providers too. Like,
Yeah.
go see this OT.
Yeah. I know.
Go over there.
Yeah, or just to consult. And, you know, we do a lot of work with pediatricians as is, you know, just chatting with them, you know, with kids that come in to be able to say, hey, we're seeing this. Have parents talked to you about this? You know, just to collaborate so that we can have that continuity of care. But it would be really cool if we could have, you know, in addition, we could have people at that.
Well, it's easier to build strong kids than to fix broken adults.
It's a t-shirt. I want it.
T-shirt.